I'm so happy you could be joining me tonight. So, I just finished watching Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Let me actually pull some information up just so I can reference some information. Wakanda Forever. Okay. So, I just finished watching Black Panther 2. This film is really fucking strange because it spends the first. How long is this film? 2 hours and 41 minutes. 2 hours and 41 minutes of interesting. It's interesting. You're not. There's very few moments in the film where nothing happens or where nothing is developed really. But when it's so hard to explain. It's a very interesting film to watch. There's no bullshit, nothing bad really happens until the end, really. In terms of the Phase 4 lineup, uh, let's see. In terms of all the films that have come out on Phase 4, I'm looking. Oh wait, no, Phase. No, yeah, we're in Phase 4. In Phase 4, this is the best one, easily. This is the best film to come out Phase 4, which isn't saying much. We got Thor, Love and Thunder. We got Eternals, Black Widow. So it's not really saying much. That being said, if we put it against the first Black Panther, I'd say the first half of the movie competes very well with the first Black Panther. Everything after that, not so much. And by not so much, I mean not at all. CGI is pretty much what you'd expect from Marvel nowadays. Not as good as it could be, but the visuals are really good. Whenever they focus on trying to make it look good, they succeed. Unless it has anything to do with water, really, which unfortunately the film relies so much on. It's a lot of water, and the water never looks good. The development of the villain is, I wouldn't really say villain, Namor, is pretty good, although not as good as Killmonger's in the first one. It's good enough. It's good enough. The motivation is there and things make sense. Nothing comes out of the ordinary, except for a few things. But it's overall, it's the characters are good. Everything's written well until the very end. Now, Phase 4 has a big problem with the third act. I was gonna reference Black Widow, but Black Widow's kind of an entire fuck up. The entire movie's a fuck up. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I have it pulled up here. It starts off really well, and though it's not as strong as the other series, it ends. Though it's not as strong as the other series, for the most part, it's strong enough. It's cohesive and everything makes sense and everything looks good enough. It's not until the end that everything just turns into a mess. With Eternals, not as much, but still, at least for most of the film, it's something new and original. You know, you didn't see the main protagonist be a villain. That I don't think anybody saw that coming. And in the end, it turns to dog shit. WandaVision, same thing. The end is dog shit, but the beginning is really good. Shang-Chi, same thing. The beginning, the middle is good, and is dog shit. The Multiverse of Madness, don't even get me started. Beginning, middle, pretty good, really good, and in the end, it's just dog shit. Loki's good. The problem is that we don't really have, like, it doesn't fit anywhere. Thor Love and Thunder, entire thing was dog shit. Hawkeye, everything was mid until the very end, which was dog shit. The point is, Phase 4 has a very strong history of just starting good, continuing to be good, and then but ending on a horrible note. Black Panther 2 is kind of like that. I'm gonna get into spoilers. So the film revolves around Namor defending his people, right? Same thing with Wakanda. The Americans, as they say, the colonizers, are starting to find their way into Namor's territory, and Namor says, "I don't want that. I'm gonna start defending my shit now. And his definition of defending his shit is announcing World War III on everyone, which makes not a lot of sense, but at least it really doesn't make all that much sense, but he at least has a motivation. They're going to him and he knows they're going to take advantage of his resources, and which is shown in the film. He knows they're going to take advantage of his resources, and he just wants to stop that before it happens, right? So that's what they're fighting. That's who they're fighting, right? And the person that developed the technology to find Namor is Riri Williams, is Ironheart. And basically he wants her dead for most of the film, and that's where the conflict comes from. The Wakanda side is defending Riri Williams, and Namor's side wants to kill Riri Williams, right? That's the motivation. Everything is good, everything makes sense for most of the film until the very end, when it once again turns into a giant CGI fight, and the motivation is there because at this point, Shuri, who's the Black Panther, has lost a lot, obviously. She's dealing with a lot of shit. So she just wants to kill Namor to get rid of him, because vengeance, revenge. But at the very end, there's this generic cliche moment where they go, no, you're better than this. We're better than this. You can show them who you are. Show them how to be better. You're a better human being. Think better. This isn't what your family would want. And I hate whenever they do that. That's how the conflict ends. It's just a generic, be better. It's a very generic, just, am I the villain? Super fucking stupid, and I hate when they do that. They did. That's the main problem. Because throughout the movie, they handle it relatively well, but they ended off on some shit like that. Now, other little stuff, the costumes are some of the worst I've seen in a Marvel movie, and that's saying a lot. It looks ridiculous, and one thing I kept telling myself when I watched the movie is that they could have just solved the problem by turning everything black. I can't really show you right now in the video, but if you watch the trailers, they have some suits that they use to go underwater. I'm talking about the Wakandans. They have suits that they use to go under the water, obviously because they're at a disadvantage in the water. But they look stupid. They look like Pharaoh from Overwatch. Farah, that's what they look like. But like actually 1-to-1, they look just like Farah. They look like they're eagles for some reason. They look like birds, underwater birds. But that could have just been solved if they had just painted it completely black. Wakanda's supposed to look like, to focus around the Black Panther, and for some reason they didn't make it black, so now all the costumes look super colorful and stupid. It looks like a fucking Power Ranger. It looks really bad. That's all the negatives I can think about, really. The pacing is awkward in some scenes. You're supposed to like feel really like some scenes feel like they're supposed to be slow and really focus on setting the mood, like building tension, but it just cuts really quickly to other like moments in the scene, and sometimes it just cuts away. So it's really, really weird because you can tell they're trying to build tension, but it doesn't work because they cut away really fast, which sucked, which I thought really ruined the mood. One thing I also went in thinking was that they were gonna push the message, get really political. I didn't really feel a lot about that. Everything that they added in makes sense. They don't really shove any political, agendas down your throat. Except there is one really bad line at the very end, which isn't important to the plot at all. It's really bad. It's the conversation between Okoye and Martin Freeman's character, who's in handcuffs because he's been betrayed by his people. And she says to him, "A colonizer in chains. now I've seen everything. That is such a ridiculous thing to say. Why would you say that? Like, it really just doesn't make sense. Like, do you understand how stupid that sounds? What she's basically saying is, haha, you look like a slave now. It's really bad. And it's not like it doesn't come out of nowhere, because Nemours past revolves around slavery as well. So obviously they're banking off of that. It's just such a stupid thing to say. It literally just translates to you look like a slave now. You fucking loser. That was just a really bad line. I cannot believe they added that in. I cannot believe they added that in. But yeah, for the most part, it was really good. They pulled some stuff off that I didn't see coming. I don't think a lot of people would see that coming. Overall, solid film. I'd give it like a, what did I give it? Where did I give it on Letterboxd? I gave the first Black Panther, I gave it a 4.5, and I gave this one a 3-star, I think. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, it gets close to being like the first, but nowhere near. Not even close. Actually, that completely contradicts what I was saying. The first half of the film gets close. The rest, no. So it adds up to a C plus, like a 78, compared to the first Black Panther's like 98. Yeah, it could have been better. Also could have been worse from what we've seen. This is easily the best of all Phase 4. Like I said, that's really not saying a lot. It's really not saying a lot. But could have been worse. Could have been worse. We've seen worse. So, yeah.